Hello, how do you do? My name's Blue and welcome to my channel Blue Reviews. I know it's been a little while since I've done a video and this one is a little late, and by little I mean a lot for both of those things. But anyway, this is my December wrap up and it's about the 8 books I read this month and what I thought about them. So the first book I read was Iron Gold by Pierce Brown. And this book actually took me forever to read. It kind of put me into a bit of a reading slump, if I'm honest. It is the 4th book, which kind of continues the first trilogy of Red Rising. And to be honest, I probably could have done without it. I gave it 3 stars overall. I didn't really enjoy it too much because I just got really confused with the politics and all the characters, which isn't something I normally do. I've read a lot of big fantasy books and I've never had this issue before, particularly 4 books in. I should be all over it. I think a lot of this book kind of leans on mythology and mythos, and I've never studied or learnt about any of those subjects, so I guess some of it just goes over my head and it's probably more of a me problem. I will be continuing with the next book just because I'm 4 books into a 6-book series. But anyway, yeah, 3 stars overall and I'm glad I kind of got through it. Book 2 I read was My Dreamtime by Ash Barty. This book is about Ash Barty and her tennis career. She's an Australian and she was #1 tennis player in the world, and she retired very young, and this story is basically about her tennis career and why she quit. I found this book easy to read. It's quite enjoyable. It was very different to a lot of other sport memoirs I've read, but if you follow Ash Barty at all, I'd recommend reading it. And I gave it 4 stars. Okay, book 3 I read was The Murderboot Diaries by Matha Wells. Well, actually, it's kind of 3 and 4. I read book 1 and 2, which are All Systems Red and Artificial Condition. I gave both of them 3 stars. It's a sci-fi series made up of small novellas, which I just flew through. Guess it means I enjoyed them. One issue I think I might have, and I could be wrong, but it seems more like a Monster of the Week kind of series where I kind of prefer to get to know characters well rather than meeting new ones each week. I guess the one character we have all the time is our main character, the Murderbot, and I will be continuing because that character is delightful. The 5th book I read was Island of Shipwrecks by Lisa Mcmanan. It is book 4 in the Unwanted series, which is a middle grade fantasy series which I've been enjoying. It's an interesting world, it's got wonderful characters. You never really get too worried, although people do die sometimes in this series. If you really enjoy middle grade fantasy, I would recommend this series, but other than that, it's not too remarkable. I think I gave this book maybe 3, maybe 4 stars. Let's say 3.5. Okay, book 5 is Not Now, Not Ever by Julia Gillard. It is a non-fiction book. I know, look at me being all fancy. And it's written by an ex-Australian Prime Minister who is our first female Prime Minister. This book is not about her life or really even her politics. This book is about a speech that she gave 10 years ago in Parliament, and it's a really famous speech about her calling out misogyny, and it looks at the battles that women have, particularly in politics, but also as a wider society. Within this book, there's nothing really groundbreaking, but I'm really glad I did read it, and I think it's an important part of Australian history. And lastly, book 7. I said I read 8 books, so I guess I lied. Book 7, The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake, which is a dark academia book based in the real world, I believe, but it has elements of fantasy. Some people can do magic, and it follows 6 people who are selected to become part of an exclusive society. This book for me took a little while to get into because you keep jumping between each of the 6 people's perspective, and actually there's a few other people's perspective you see. And as you can imagine at the start of a book, it's really hard to get your ducks in a line and work out who's who in the zoo. But anyway, once I did get that all sorted. I really did enjoy it. I like the character interactions. The magic system, didn't really love. I've got no idea how it works. I think it's a bit wishy-washy. But I gave this book 6 stars, and I'll be continuing on with the next one in the series. Anyway, if you've read any of these books and you've got some thoughts on them, let me know and have a lovely day.